Okay, welcome to an extraordinary council meeting for Nillumbik Shire. We welcome members of the public and advise that this meeting will be live streamed and recorded, and the live stream and video recording will be made publicly available on YouTube and the council website. I'd like to acknowledge that Nillumbik Shire respectfully acknowledges the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people as traditional owners on the country on which Nillumbik is located. We value the significance of the Wurundjeri people's history as essential to the unique character of the Shire. We pay tribute to all First Nations people living in Nillumbik and give our respects to elders, past, present and future, and we extend this respect to all First Nations people. Respect the enduring strength of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung and acknowledge the ongoing impact of past traumas and injustices from colonial invasion, massacres and genocide committed against First Nation people. We acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded. Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people hold a deep and ongoing connection to this place. We value the distinctive place that our First Nations people in both Nillumbik and Australia's identity and their cultural heritage and care of the land and waterways, to their ongoing contribution in many fields, including academia, agriculture, art, economics, law, sport and politics. I would now like to move on to our good governance pledge. Councillor Joyner.
As councillors, we are mindful of our civic responsibilities and obligations. We pledge to take them seriously and to carry them out with diligence and integrity. We know the decisions we take will affect the people and environment of Nillumbik now and in the future. We undertake, therefore, to make sound and principled decisions of lasting value in a spirit of fairness and for all the good of all. We also pledge to serve the needs and well-being of the community and the environment in an open and honest manner and to the best of our abilities.
Okay, thanks Councillor Joyner. We have no apologies or leaves of absence. No declarations of conflicts of interest, councillors? Any declarations? No, we will move on to our one and only item for tonight, which is the Community Energy Upgrades Funds Round 2, the Eltham Leisure Centre electrification. And ask if anyone would like to move a motion. Councillor Mackay.
Yes, I would like to move the motion as per the papers titled Community Energy Upgrades Fund Round 2, Eltham Leisure Centre Electrification.
Do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Brooker. Councillor Mackay.
Thank you. We have an incredible opportunity tonight to apply for the federal government's Community Energy Upgrades Fund. This is round 2 of this fund, and this pool, pardon the pun, will be a $50 million group of money for local councils to apply. They are matching up to 50% of projects that require or improve community energy upgrades, up to the price of $2.5 million per application. Eltham Leisure Centre is council's most emissions-intensive asset, responsible for 35% of council's greenhouse gas emissions. 1,992 tonnes of carbon in the 23-24 financial year came from the Eltham Leisure Centre. The gas plant itself is solely responsible for 10% of the council's greenhouse emissions. Council have assessed that it is feasible to upgrade to an efficient electric heat pump, which would enable a future zero emissions operation. The probable cost for this upgrade is just shy of $5 million at $4,983,000, based on construction between 2026 and 2028. A Community Energy Upgrades Fund would enable the council to complete this project at only 50% of total cost. It would also reduce the Eltham Leisure Centre's ongoing operational costs considerably. The current annual gas bill is $287,000, 526, sorry. Just to make it clear, $287,526, and this price is only projected to increase. Reviewing capital expenses, operational expenses and inflation, predictions are for a 7 to 8 year payback period and an overall cost saving of $5 million compared to a fully funded upgrade that council would be required to do alone in 2030 when the current gas boilers are needing replacing. With consideration of interest payments, it would be a 10-year loan. Crudely, this project would be completed at half of the price, with the community upgrades grant equating to, with the community upgrades grant, this equates to $314,709 per annum with interest, or we could choose not to apply for the grant, or if we are unsuccessful in obtaining the grant, after 2030, when we upgrade on our own, this would increase to an annual cost of $728,000 per annum. This is the final round of the Community Energy Upgrades Fund and is very likely to be the only opportunity to get funding contributions to complete this transition, which would be scheduled for completion on March 2028. Noting that in 2030, the current gas boilers would be due for replacement anyway, and it will be in the same year of which we have aimed to meet our net zero targets. It's an exciting time for council if this grant is successful. The electrification of the pool heating alongside the transition to electricity planned for the Diamond Creek pool planned for next year will reduce Nillumbik's gas use consumption by 86%. Let's not forget we're in a climate crisis. Local government is leading the way. In 2022, Nillumbik Shire Council, along with other councils, have declared a climate emergency and endorsed our Climate Action Plan. An electricity upgrade to the Eltham Leisure Centre directly supports Goal 1 on the Climate Action Plan 2022 to 2032, which is to reduce council's direct contribution to climate change by achieving net zero emissions by 2030. We are ambitious by reaching net zero by 2030, and we need to be bold and take our opportunities to get there. We're going to get to net zero by 2030, and we need to take charge of our responsibilities. Along with supporting the number one goal of the Community Action Plan of reducing council's direct contribution to climate emissions to net zero 2030, the Climate Action Plan supports this initiative in other ways. I'll just hurry up a bit here. With the top 10 climate changing priorities, the community wanted buying sustainable products and services, considering climate change when making decisions, encouraging and supporting of climate action, reduce climate emissions. And it leans into multiple focus areas for climate action, including focus area one, strong climate action, leadership and culture, which the objectives are to lead by example, tick, to consider climate impact day-to-day operations when making council decisions, tick, and to collaborate and advocate for climate action, local, state and federal government that will support Nillumbik in the broader community environment, tick. The community have told us their thoughts and what they want. Oh dear, I'll skip that bit, but it's strongly endorsed. And as councillors, we're compelled to achieve the best outcome for the municipal community. I would argue that in a climate crisis, transition to electrical heat pump for the council is much in line with this. The federal government grant is all about making steps to get Australia to net zero. How does the federal government eat an elephant, one bite at a time or one municipal pool at a time?
Thanks, Councillor Mackay. Councillor Brooker.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Look, this will be the largest and then logically the most consequential financial decision for a single project for the 24 to 28 council. The key metrics, gas price increase from 0.08 to 0.12 cents at December 27, the end of the current contract. That's a 50% increase in gas costs and then 4% after that per annum. Now that does relate back to a per kilowatt hour and transfers from megajoules, but the quantums are the thing to take note of. At that rate of 12 cents per kilowatt hour, it's seen with other councils in Victoria, and if you search for large user contracts in Victoria, it can range from 14 cents up, confirming the current favourable contract at the Eltham Leisure Centre. By year 6, the operational savings will be almost equal to the loan repayments and interest principal. Another way of saying this is after year 6, the investment is cash flow positive for Nillumbik. The key question is, how solid are the assumptions of a 4% per annum gas price increase from 2027 and the hike from that period? We do know that there are systemic challenges in the gas market. The Victorian Gas Substitution Roadmap is to phase out new gas by 2024, meaning retaining gas will face the dual pressures of a relatively declining user base with network recovery charges spread out over relatively fewer users. This is one reason why future electricity charges are more predictable than natural gas. Getting back to the finances, we will have to fund the deficits, that is, the interest principal costs minus the energy cost savings from our operational budget. That peaks in year 1. Nillumbik can do good by doing well, and that is a wonderful place to be. Lowering emissions over the term of the project will lower our costs. The transition of council assets to zero emissions has to be cost effective, and being cost effective accelerates the transition. We are not going down an ideological path to lowering emissions, we are taking the financial path to do so. The green premium that can be paid seeking zero or lower emissions is a premium all residents can individually make in their own household decisions. But for this council, making a decision on behalf of 24,000 households has to be a pragmatic one, an appropriate one, and in this case, a financially favourable one. Residents should examine electrifying their own households and do so when it is financially viable for them to do so. A path down the moral high ground of lowering emissions can be very expensive real estate. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Perkins.
Thank you, Mayor. No, look, I won't be supporting the motion, and basically because it's essentially quite new infrastructure that we're replacing with brand new infrastructure. In my lifetime on council, it wasn't long ago, it doesn't seem long ago at least, when council spent, well, with some grants from the state, I must admit, but over $20 million for the redevelopment of the Eltham Leisure Centre, which included 2 brand new gas boilers, the best of the kind available at the time that was sold to council. That these are fantastic units, they're going to last 15 years. As part of the argument for upgrading the whole facility, there was other work that needed to be done at the pool, including replacement of the shell, but replacement of the gas boilers and replacement of the filtering system were 2 of the 3 major items that needed to be done as part of the renewal process. The equipment was worn out, needed to be replaced. So the equipment currently that's there is 6.5 years old, and expected life span of 15 years ultimately could go beyond that if well maintained. There's 100% redundancy with the gas boilers at the Eltham Leisure Centre at the moment. So the centre would run on 1 gas boiler, and we've got 2. So there's 100% redundancy. What we're looking to do, if we're successful in this grant, is that we spend another $2.5 million. We have to borrow $2.5 million to get a lesser redundancy. So it's arguable what we're going to get is not as good as what we've got, and it's going to cost us $2.5 million to get there. Okay, we will get some free money from potentially from the federal government, which is always great, but do we need to spend $2.5 million? I would argue perhaps not. We're renewing this infrastructure before it's needed to be renewed. It's going to drive down some costs, particularly the cost of gas. The net result is we wouldn't have to pay as much for electricity as we're currently paying for gas. The issue is that council doesn't pay the bills. The bills are paid by, under contract, they're paid by the operator, Aligned Leisure. So the payback period that's spoken about in the report is not a true reflection of the impact upon council, because council are actually not paying the bills. At best, we could probably hope for 50% because of the way the contract's arranged with Aligned Leisure. So it doesn't, my concern is it doesn't represent good value for money. Okay, it does help with climate change and our climate change action plan, I acknowledge that, but I just wish this opportunity came up in a few years' time, perhaps another 5 or 6 years' time, when the current infrastructure is due for renewal, because it's not due yet. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Perkins. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Joy.
Thank you, Mayor. I won't be supporting this one either, for all the same reasons that Councillor Perkins has just stated, so I won't take up any more time repeating those. But in summary, the reasons I'm not supporting this is because I view it as a self-imposed premature obsolescence. Premature obsolescence is, in fact, not in line with climate change objectives. It's actually a huge problem towards climate change. If the plant were due for renewal, I would absolutely support this. With or without the grant, would certainly support it. I think it's just the timing is not quite right. So on balance, I don't think it adds up for the dollars, and it doesn't add up for green outcomes at this stage. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Joy. Councillor Joyner.
Thanks, Mayor. I actually think this one is a no-brainer. By the time it is operational, it will be 10 years old, the gas boilers in the Eltham Leisure Centre. The gas boilers will be 10 years old because they were installed in 2018, and these will be operational in about 2028. So there'll only be 5 years left of the gas boilers. So if things were to stay the same as today, going forward, the argument might be a bit more just, but they aren't staying the same. The gas boilers are getting older. The price of gas is going up. So taking the opportunity to get 50% off this very expensive exercise is an opportunity not to be missed, because the Eltham Leisure Centre is a very emissions-intensive asset, and so I think for us to achieve net zero by 2030, it needs to go ahead. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Joyner. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Mackay, you have 2 minutes right of reply, as we had 2 dissenters.
We will potentially get some free money, or we could potentially have no free money and pay twice as much to have a system done 2 years later than what would have been done, which will be upgraded to electrify, save money, meet our targets. The Bills contract will be up for negotiation around the same time, and it will be front of mind to strongly negotiate that contractors of ours need to move towards net zero as per our own targets. I'll just say that we have heard from the community on their thoughts on this through wide consultation through the Climate Action Plan, what they want and what they expect of the Nillumbik Shire. 79% of residents are either quite or very concerned about climate change, and 70% believe we should match the state government's target for net zero emissions by 2030, with a further 18% thinking we should be doing more and reaching it by this year, 2025. So that is 88% of residents from that study. So I implore the council to endorse this motion, and we will wait with bated breath for the announcement of funding in November this year.
Thank you, Councillor Mackay. With that, we will put it to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? Carried 5-2. With that, I declare the meeting closed at 8:20. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for those who are watching online, and we'll be back next week for the council meeting. Thank you.